Is that good? Hear me? Okay. So, yeah, emailing back and forth with Pastor Klein, he asked about preaching or teaching Sunday school. And I said, well, I have zero experience, but I can be open to things. I was like, well, I could also just share my testimony, which would be about as long as a service. And is kind of glad that there's no kids in here. Not that I don't want to share things with kids, but that means I don't have to withhold anything either. So I'll just jump right into it. So I grew up going to a church called Cooper's Chapel in Western Indiana. Literally since I was born up until about 13 years old. We were going there because of my dad. I always tell people, like, we didn't have a choice, which always followed with, kids shouldn't really have a choice on going to church, but it was just like, the feeling growing up is like, I was being forced to go to this place by this man who publicly was very kind and caring and generous, but behind closed doors was very different and extremely abusive to my mom and us kids and my older siblings especially. And so my earliest memories are standing in a doorway and seeing him, very strong man, pick up a chair with my mother in it and just tip it over, and cowering in fear with my sisters at like 2 years old at the top of the stairs just listening. And eventually, right before I turned 9, they actually got divorced and my mom got full custody, but we were still going to church with him every Sunday and Wednesday. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't really matter. And so at 13 years old is when I realized, like, I have a choice. Like, I don't have to go there. I don't have to be with him. Because all those years after the divorce, all the physical stuff ended, and it turned into psychological and emotional abuse, like crazy, playing games with my head. And he would lie to me about my mom and my older siblings, saying that they were lying about him and going around town. And of course, he was always the victim. But so I finally, at 13, quit going with him. Going into high school is when I transferred from Christian school to public school, which was very difficult, and that was still the worst time of my life, being so mentally messed up and angry and hating everything and everyone, hating God and Christians, because I thought every Christian was the same as him, which obviously I've learned differently. And so high school, my form of rebellion was to just sleep through school as much as I possibly could. I got out with like a 2 GPA, barely. And then after high school, started drinking, and that was a big problem for a long time. Just so many people just like have a drink out at dinner and whatever, and I was like, I don't understand that. Like, I drink and I don't stop until I'm out or I pass out, just trying to numb the pain and feel something other than anger or hurt. And I also was smoking weed for several years, like all day, every day, and just going through the motions, going to work, going home, doing my thing, just completely lost. And At 20 years old, I actually started going to these workshops in the Cleveland area with my mom, run by a Native American shaman. I don't know if anyone knows anything about New Age, but I sure do. And so I can warn you about anything you need to know about. And I was going to those for about 6 years. And looking back now, obviously, God is always in control, and He allowed me to go into that, and it actually did help me in certain ways, because before that, I couldn't talk to anyone. Unless you just ask me a question, I'd answer it as short as I could and start ignoring you again. And so part of that is why I'm able to be up here right now. And after a while of going to those workshops, more and more, every time I went, I was just like, this really feels like a cult. And it basically is, because they all practically worship the guy who is running it. But just a lot of spiritual darkness there, presenting itself as light, obviously. Satan comes like as a light, and people fall for it all the time. But I finally quit going to those. A lady that I had met there was always posting pictures on Facebook of birds that she would go out on walks and see. And my nephew was really into birds. I was like, birds are kind of cool. Like, they're actually really cool. I've never paid attention to them. So I just got a cheap camera and started going on walks and kayaking with my brother, getting bird pictures with an actual intent of trying to connect with God. And obviously my view was skewed like crazy, and I didn't know what I was looking for, but God was guiding me through it and eventually showed Himself to me. Towards the end of 2022, the weeds started turning really bad, and like crazy spiritual attacks, like horrible things going through my mind, terrifying me. And there was this battle back and forth where I didn't hear audibly, but there was something in my head that I knew was not me, just every day, constantly saying, go to church. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to church. And it would be like, go to church. And no, I absolutely will not go to church. But after a while, God showed me something, or taught me something, and I gave in and I went to church. It was my wife's father's church that I had known about because her sister was a waitress at a restaurant I ate at all the time as a bachelor. And so that's why I chose that one, thinking I was not going to run into anyone I knew. But there's probably 20 people going there from the church I grew up in. And they were all really excited to see me. And I just bought a Bible and started reading, kept going to church. So there's so much. I had actually, God, long before He drew me in, was working on me. As you can see, looking back, I quit drinking cold turkey in 2020. Like, I dumped a whole bunch of alcohol out because I was just so tired of it. It was not doing what I was hoping it would do. And let's see. Okay, so forward. Going to church. My first day going back to church, I think it's funny, was Halloween day. So while everyone's out celebrating death and satanic stuff, I'm going back to church. And like I said, I bought a Bible, started reading like crazy, kept going. And finally one night, I'm just laying in bed reading, and I closed the Bible, and I surrendered, called out to God, confessed everything I could think of, begged forgiveness, and trusted that there's only one way, one truth, one path, and that's Jesus. And there's still struggles over time, but that's always going to be part of it. And so I just try to learn more and more. And what about it? Oh, yeah, I got baptized. Yeah, she was very excited when that happened. And, oh yeah. Like, I don't read into stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, that's interesting and cool, kind of. My dad died March 18th of 22, and I was roofing a place in Springfield, Missouri, and came home for the funeral, and I got baptized the day after the year of him passing. And the day after I got baptized, went to Springfield, Missouri, back to the same building I was on when he died. And it's just really interesting. And so my dad, looking back, trying to understand, I think he was truly a believer. I don't know. I would see him read his Bible and talk about Jesus and stuff, but he was just so messed up. I don't think he executed a Christian life very well. And so I'll find out someday. And yeah, here we are. God brought us to Longview Camp. We moved up here the day after Christmas. That was quite the process. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not fun, especially when you get a U-Haul that's too small. I had never had one before, so we got the one recommended for our size, and it wasn't enough. So always up a size when you move. Yeah, I don't know if there's much else. I'm the youngest of 8. Maybe 2 of my siblings are saved. One I'm confident in. The other seems to just be really legalistic, and so I don't know. But that's not for me to know. So the other 5 could use a lot of prayer too. And my mom, she's confused. She's still into the new agey stuff, but also apparently has told my father-in-law that she knows she's saved. So I don't know if I have any more. What? Pastor Klein, yeah. So thank you for having us here, and just prayer is always the best thing.